Okay, Erev Tov, everybody. Blessings. I'm going to start with a little prayer of merging the heart and the mind, which is really what needs to happen these days. L'Shem Yikut K'dusha Brihu Ushinete Bi'ilu Ur Ibulayha Shem Yikut B'Vavke B'Yudah Shalom Hashem Kozriel Kolam Amin. Now, we're doing Q&A. We didn't get a lot of Q&A questions, but that's okay. Somebody asked about a tick bite. My answer is I'm not an expert in Lyme's. Well, I'm an expert enough to know what I seem to see what works over the years. And the answer, incidentally, I'm going to divert. My classmate at Columbia Medical School is the one who discovered Lyme's in Connecticut. In other words, I know the guy personally. And I've kind of looked at the Lyme question over a long period of time, but it did come out of my class of 69 at Columbia. Okay. Just a little factoid. The main thing is, antibiotics are the only thing I've seen that really works. I have homeopathics, I have this, I have that. But the only thing I see when you're looking at a tick bite is, within a certain amount of time, like 6 weeks, strongly suggest you take antibiotics. Now, that's a rare exception. I personally don't prescribe antibiotics for it in the sense that I refer people for the treatment of Lyme. I'm not really an expert at it. As they say, I have homeopathics, I have this and that, but I do know that it's the safest way to go because chronic Lyme's is a big problem. So we don't want that to happen. So there's, again, risk-benefit. In this case, the benefit is take your antibiotics. That's probably the most clear thing I can say. And you have to do the local treatment, as people see it. So that's a general thing that I do, that I recommend. One of the rare instances where I'll recommend that. Now, so I'm going to go to another level of discussing what we're doing, because we have a few things planned. We are kind of revising it because of the heavy censorship, that's going on. Google, Facebook, and so forth. And even some of the major players like Joe Rogan have broken and gone to war with Google. It's like, that's huge. We have created a platform. It's Tree of Life Community. You can reach us at treeoflifecommunity.mn.co, or you can just go to gabrielcousins.com. But that will take you to that. Now, the Tree of Life Community platform has 2 levels. And I'm announcing because as it's next week, that's what we're going to be doing. Level 1, we're going to do the firepower meditation. That's free. And we're really, we're going to stay with that as the main thing that's going on. And then when we get the right platform, we're going to have all my past materials. I'm talking about over 300 videos, just a lot of material. Now, there's an inner core to that, which we've kept pretty low price because we're in a pretty big group of people. And we already have 1,100 people on the overall Tree of Life community. But it's called Shakti Space. And here's what we're really offering. 1 time per week, Q&A, and let's say we're going to include Shabbat, we're going to include Havdalah and the teachings, the Parsha teachings, and then each week there'll be 30 minutes with a liberation teaching, and 30 minutes with spiritual nutrition teaching, 15 minutes for, roughly speaking, for the teaching, and then time for Q&A. Same with spiritual nutrition. Teaching, time for Q&A. That's once a week. we're going to offer that. The Shabbat is once a month. The Parsha will also, the weekly Parsha will also be given once a week. So that's kind of the format that's available. To find out more and get linked to it, again, go to treeoflife.mn.co. Okay? That's basically the key. And again, I can't speak freely anymore because they're really heavy censorship. So that's why we have to go in a protected space to make this happen. And obviously we have to pay a little bit of money for us to staff it and make it happen. So that's kind of the bigger question. So we're always going to have the firepower meditation. That's for the free community. And they have all the people talking to everybody in all the different languages and ways. So that's the bigger picture. So I'm going to take a few minutes of our half hour to kind of give some more general updates about the COVID thing, okay? And I think that's important for people to get. There was a work by Professor Wachowski. He's a world expert on statistics and epidemiology, which is what you need. Somebody knows under epidemiology and also how you can play with statistics. And basically, it's kind of already out there that the lockdowns did not make any statistical difference. Want to make a point there, that's really important. And the people who brought that up have been banned from Facebook and all the technology. So these are doctors from Bakersfield brought that up. So they didn't exactly work, but Wachowski also mentioned something else. The lockdowns didn't even happen until after the normal flu or epidemic, what we'll call epidemic, reached its peak. In other words, lockdowns happen afterwards because there's a normal cycle to the virus. That's the thing you have to understand. So the coronavirus kind of has a 2-year cycle before it kind of fades out. And that's, I think, important to understand. With vaccination, without, doesn't really matter. Vaccination is almost irrelevant to the story. So kind of keep that in mind. Now, the problem is lockdowns somehow imbalance it, and people go inside, they don't build up the herd immunity, and so because we're not handling it right, from a scientific point of view, we're actually creating a situation where there'll probably be a second wave. We got to get that. So we're doing the protocol, and I'm going to say we have it in English. Olga's actually going to translate it in Hebrew for people who don't speak it. So we have a protective protocol, and I will tell you that with thousands of people all over the world, I haven't had one person, if they're actually using the protocol, actually get COVID-19. Not a bad idea. Are we exposed to it? You bet. And just so you know, viruses are spread all over the world. 6 feet, 666 doesn't really make any difference whatsoever. And actually, people outdoors do better because they're getting sunlight and they're getting exercise. About 2% spread outdoors, 80%, according to some statistics, some people say 60%. Basically, it's an indoor spread, confined space. So some of the statistics that I actually saw on Trump's presidential type thing, this scientist got up and said, well, if you're 15 minutes with someone, indoor space, next to them, you got a 5% chance of getting it. So even if you're 15 minutes in an enclosed space, 95% of people won't get it. But in reality, there's no way to track people. Now, why do I say that? Because they're kind of saying we're going to track people. That's called fascism. Let's not get confused here. Obviously, people from Israel understand this whole thing. We're trying to help you. That's what Hitler said when he took people to the concentration camps. That's just not going to work. People are onto it. Okay, so you're not being helped. So we need to go be outdoors so we can build up the herd immunity. If we aren't, then there's a decrease in the immune system's ability to respond because we're not getting exposed. Please understand that 96% of the people who are exposed are fine. The research at this point, the science, I'm going to use the word science versus mythology. There's no science whatsoever about efficacy of lockdowns. There's no science whatsoever that would say you need to be 6'6", 6 feet away. It doesn't make any sense. Actually, if people sneeze, it can go as much as 18 feet. But the real research in viruses, according to real experts, is the viruses are also spread around the world by the wind currents and so forth. So it's everywhere. So, of course, the solution is what? It's called the terrain. Build up your immune system. That's what the solution is. So that is out there in my protocol. And at this point, that protocol is listed. Again, treeoflifecommunity.mn.co. You can get the protocol. The protocol works. They're not allowing a lot of these things on the internet. We just need to understand it. And they've taken down some of my material too. So I'm not going to talk about the details of the protocol. You're going to have to go there. I'm not doing this for advertisement. I'm just saying if I talk about it, it's going to create problems and get the video deleted. Okay, so we need exposure. And I mentioned this whole thing about contacts. According to Dr. Wachowski, lives in New York actually, but epidemiologist and statistics world expert, he's saying there's no way to track this. We're exposed all over the place. So this idea of tracking contacts may really be, again, no science amount. Did we get some luck with South Korea? Maybe. But we really don't know. His point is you can't really track it because it's so widespread, like it is every year. Now, I will tell you, in 2017, that virus, the normal virus, influenza virus, actually did kill an excess of people with respiratory deaths. That really happened 2017. The real reality, 2020, it's about the same as it averages for every year, okay, in terms of respiratory deaths and pneumonia. But 2017, way before this virus came on the thing, there was a peak in that. So just to keep in mind, okay, the exposures are multidimensional. So why am I telling you? Don't be in fear. That's what I'm telling you. See, where does fear come from? At a deeper level, your attachment to the body. If you understand the soul is immortal and the fear goes away, the immune system pops, it gets better, and everybody is at peace. We're not afraid of each other. The way they're setting it up is, gotta stay away from humans. Humans are dangerous. Stay away from them. No, the power of humans is our collective energy. So in the Bible it says, 5 will chase away 100 and 100 will chase away 10,000. What's that saying? This is when people get their collective energy together, that's what it's saying, which we're going to do in a little bit, the fire-powered meditation, we can transform all this. We have a tremendous power. Well, if you're afraid of everybody else around you, it's divide and conquer. You don't have to be a genius to figure out what they're doing. People are pretty smart about this. The dark side is really pretty smart, but it's not going to work. And I think that's the key thing. If we stand up and do it. And the firepower meditation, which we will be doing soon, is a very, I'm going to say, very important thing. So we have the SARS-CoV-2, we have the SARS, we have the Ebola, and they all have these cycles. And there's a short part of the cycle of a 2-week peak, but it's generally for the SARS, we are talking about a 2-year cycle. So I'm going to bring up something else. I'm going to do a newsletter, which is available free on our community, Tree of Life, again, community platform. the free section, which is, again, I'm just going to repeat it so I get it memorized, okay? So it's treeoflife.mn, mightynetwork.mm.co. What we're kind of looking at in this bigger picture is that the immunities that we talk about vaccinations didn't come from the vaccinations. So in my book, Conscious Parenting, I have 80 pages talking about this, but there's a simple point I want to make. Right now, the main cause of polio is the vaccination. Right now, Bill Gates got kicked out of India because thousands of people they redefine it. They don't call it polio now. It's kind of a paralysis. It's just kind of nonsense type of thing. But measles, mumps, rubella, all those things from around 1900 to when they first began to use vaccinations, like the DPT and things, in the 40s, basically went from 100% type, down to 1 or 2% on their own, not with vaccinations. So the people pushing vaccinations are actually misusing the data. The data is clear. I have all the graphs and charts in my book, Conscious Parenting, is that it all dropped to 1 to 2% from 100% from the 1900s down to the 1940s when they first introduced. So I'm going to repeat it again. There's a natural die out of these viruses because the public develops what I'm going to say herd immunity. People vary 60 to 80% of the population. Whatever it is, all these things had disappeared. That's what I want to say. Disappeared meaning 1 to 2%. And one of the other problems is, of course, they're constantly changing. The influenza, or they're even saying with the SARS COVID-2, what they're really saying is there's already 30 different mutations. So the idea of vaccination is total nonsense. Oh, not exactly. I'm playing games here. Why? The research shows that people who get the flu vaccination actually increase their chance of getting the next flu by 36%. That's a fact at this point. What am I saying is you have a decrease in your immune system when you're getting these vaccinations. It actually makes you weaker. So vaccinations in the scientific literature are not being shown to work so well. The other thing is people who get vaccinated are going to shed the virus for 2 weeks. That means they're exposing everybody else. It's just the opposite. The unvaccinated people are not a problem. The vaccinated people are a problem because they're shedding the virus. Think about that. Again, I document it very clearly in my book, Conscious Parenting, and my thing about the question of that. So, and that's why the live vaccinations, like they're recommending, are going to spread the disease. Now, we're not even talking about whatever else they're putting in. That I can't, I'm not, when I do my paper on it, we'll discuss it in more detail. So I think we need to kind of see the bigger picture when I'm talking about, and I'm just going to review it. There's no way to know the R factor, which is the spread factor. 2, the virus dies out in really over 2 years, so we can't say the vaccinations did it. That they try to claim with polio, and that they try to claim with measles, mumps, and rubella. None of that was true. It went down from 1900 to the 40s by 98 to 99% on its own without any vaccination. Let's get that clear. I really want you to get it because they're pushing vaccinations is the only, quote, treatment. That is a lie. It's an overt, unscientific lie. The science is there. It's very clear. It goes down on its own by the herd immunity and so forth. That's why lockdowns actually creates a problem and why they'll probably be some sort of second wave because people get out and then their immune system has not been strengthened by the exposure. So we kind of get the bigger picture. What we can say, according to the epidemiologists, is that the lockdowns are not connected to the outcome, meaning it's going to happen, it peaks, it goes out, done. The confusing is the lockdowns in most cases, according to this one professor who's the expert on it, the lockdowns actually happen after it peaked. So it makes it look as if the lockdowns may have made a difference. But even with that, the kind of worldwide research is not suggesting that they make a statistical difference. Sweden doesn't do a lockdown, Norway does. Statistically, not a big difference at all, but we can say in England, they did worse. The lockdowns, people with lockdowns did worse in England than in Sweden. So we kind of begin to see a bigger kind of picture here of nonsense. Non-sense means non-science. I'm making a pun, nonsense, non-science, and the vaccines will not make a difference. What makes a difference? Look at my protocol, that's there. I'm not going to say it because they already took that stuff down on Facebook where I actually had the protocol out there. So, but our system is off, if you get what I mean, off out of the, we're on private servers, so to speak. So that's why I can list the protocol, and that's why you can get it, and that's why you can protect yourself. Okay, so how do we protect ourselves? Easy. Well, I'm going to say something else. In Africa, where I do a lot of work, we know vaccines made things worse. Again, Bill Gates, when I went to Nigeria, he was very bad for people. The reason is because, again, he created more disease with his vaccines. What's the best thing you can do? This is what we're doing in Africa in 5 different countries. Clean water, sounds like a no-brainer, but clean water, right? Bringing in sanitary kind of ways of life and eating healthy are your way that you actually cut down on disease, infectious disease. And that's pretty much when I went from 1900 to 1940s is exactly what happened. People got clean water, they had good sanitation, and they had improved nutrition. Those are the factors that actually do make a difference. So what are we saying? Oh, it makes people healthier. Duh. It's very straightforward. So those are kind of the overview to really understand it. And we're, in Africa, we have put in a bunch of wells in 5 different countries, clean water, good diet recommendations, how to eat, and also, as I say, better overall hygiene. So these are the real ways that you decrease infectious diseases, and it's been proven over time. And the vaccines actually, again, historically have made no significant difference. Actually, they made it worse, So we're talking about the polio vaccine being the main cause of polio. That's pretty interesting. So let's kind of get clear on that. Now, I don't know if we can do Q&A over this, right?
There are a few questions.
Well, let me answer your questions, because then we're going to go into meditation.
What do you recommend for treating eczema?
So this is not really time for medical questions. And so I'm going to say in the Shakti space, I will answer some of those questions, but I'm not going to do it in a general public space.
What are the benefits of a 7-day mixed greens juice fast, cucumber, celery, pea shoot juice, wheatgrass shots, versus a 7-day celery juice only fast?
Well, I'm glad you brought it up because we are planning now. I've been talking to Olga in Israel, but we're planning to do a worldwide green juice fast. We find that each of them, like celery, and is one, cucumber is another, of doing, we just take the juices and dilute them in half, and we vary it through the week. We find that that's the best way. I stay away from fruits, juicing fruits, but we are actually going to activate, if there's enough people interested, which there will be, an internet fast worldwide. We're just getting our plans today. I love to hear from people whether they're open for doing it. That would be a 7-day fast. It's a 9-day program. We don't have a price or anything like that. But that will be, again, run through treeoflife.mn.co because we won't be censored. Censor's a big problem. I like to talk a lot. I don't like anybody interfering with what I have to say. And I want to be free to speak that, the best scientific truth we have. So keeping that in mind, we're really planning to do a fast. We're thinking in the whole logistics of it, probably in late June or early July, and then probably again in November. So we would like to get back to our twice a year fasting, which is really healthy. And we're just getting the subtle structure of how to do that over the internet. So that's it. I like both cucumber and celery as a key thing to go. Any other questions?
I think that's it for now. Nothing we don't want to do behind Shakti space.
Okay, so we've done our half hour. And now I'm going to actually talk about meditation. And we're going to all get to do a 3-minute dance. People love me dancing, but actually I want everybody to dance. So let's talk about dance first. So as Rabbi Nachman said in the dancing, it brings joy, it brings ecstasy, but the key dancing that he did is it nullifies evil government decrees. Interesting statement. And he was talking about the Russians. He's talking about 1802 to 1804 when he started to do this. And it nullifies evil forces, two separate things. So when we're dancing, well, yes, joy and ecstasy, but understand we're nullifying the powers of the dark forces, evil government decrees, and evil in general. So we'll do that in just a minute. I'm going to go over how to meditate. And again, mantra card if we have it. There's 5 steps to this meditation. And this is the firepower meditation. I will guide you through the visualization, okay? But we'll do that when we get going. So the first thing is to sit comfortably. Just be comfortable. You don't have to sit in full lotus. You don't have to sit even half lotus. Just sit comfortably. Second, you observe what goes on without any judgments. You're sitting on the edge of a river. The river's going by. That's it. You're witnessing what goes on. Third, if the Kundalini, Ruach Kadesh is activated, you may have movements going on. Just observe them. Same thing. You're observing your thoughts, but you also may be observing heat and cold or whatever. So that's it. The fourth is repeat the mantra. And the mantra I use is the name of God that Moses received at the burning bush. Yod on the in-breath from the base up to the heart. Hey out to the heart. Wah on the in-breath up to the what we call dot, D-A-A-T, or the third eye. And then hey out again through the heart. So that's kind of the way that flow goes. And you just repeat it till your mind's quiet. And then the final part of the meditation, which you're going to get both by sound and by look, is the energy coming through my eyes, which is kind of the divine force coming through, and then the yod that takes place in the meditation. That's it. So sit quietly, witness what goes on. If you're starting to have movements, spontaneous, just observe it. Don't worry about it. It's normal. Fourth, just repeat this name, Yod On the in-breath, hand, the out-breath, Wah, and the in-breath, hand, the out-breath. Till your mind's quiet. When your mind's quiet, you stop repeating the mantra. You go from Hit-bo-ni-nu to Hit-bo-di-nu, which is concentration to meditation, and then we'll do the Shaktipat that way. During this time, I'll also do the guided meditation, okay, which I call the firepower meditation for burning it up. So now we're going to do the dance, okay? So turn on the music. I'm just going to take my shirt off so I can dance. You're going to time it for 3 minutes.
You're going to do the length of the song.
No, I'm just going to go for 3 minutes, whatever it is. So if you want to turn that on. Now, I'm not going to dance alone. I'm inviting everyone to dance, okay? That's the concept. Yes, last week I introduced the idea of dance, but now we're inviting everyone to dance. So here we go for 3 minutes. Here we go.
מלפניך ורוח
And now, we're going to go into meditation. Just get the microphone. So I'm just going to look into it. Just like this. Okay, good. So, we'll go into meditation with the yod. Repeat the mantra. In a few minutes, we'll do the guided meditation. Okay, it's on. Okay. Okay, slowly breathe in, pulling the cosmic energy from the top of your head to your heart and from the base chakra up to the heart, filling that with the fire power of God. Now exhale, and as you exhale, it burns up all focuses of darkness, virus, bacteria, fungi in your own body. Inhale again, feeling that fire power. Now exhale again, sending it out around the whole planet, starting with wherever town you're in, whatever country you're in, and let it spread throughout the whole world in all four directions. And see that fire power of God burning up all forces of darkness, transmuting it to light. And now exhale again, sending this fire power of light into the whole solar system, burning up again all focus of alien darkness and negativity that may be wanting to come onto the planet. And just burn it all up. And now we'll continue to meditate. Yo. Slowly come out of meditation. Let me do the whole picture here so we can just in and out for a little bit. Take just a minute to come out. And now we'll have a little sharing integration time. And we just have 5 minutes set aside for that. So the first question I have is, how many people felt any unusual heat in their body? Second question, any unusual movements? So we're just going to let you play with that. And third, any colors? So let's hear some feedback. Let's see what we got, if we have anything. Right, it takes a little bit of time. So we know that the spiritual energy, besides dancing, that undoes evil decrees, and that it gets rid of the evil, and also brings joy and ecstasy and love, opens up the heart. Lev Tahor is about the heart opening. The name of the song. Okay.
I felt an amazing sense of peace and deep gratitude.
Okay, so peace is one of the really good signs of what this is all about, because it kind of opens up and lets you get the sense of peace in the heart and in the mind. Great.
No heat or movement, just golden colors.
So the golden light, you don't have to, first, I gave you some general things that happen, but the golden color means you've reached the supercausal body, and it does mean the Kundalini has been awakened. The Ruach HaKodesh has been awakened. So that's a big thing.
Cool breeze on the forehead.
So some people feel coolness, some people feel heat, but that does sense a sense of the presence of the energy awakening. So that's a good sign that the Ruach Kadesh is awakened. Okay, so for those who shared or didn't share, the awakening of this Ruach HaKodesh, or the Kundalini, is the kind of final, let's say, opening that leads to liberation. Doesn't make you liberated, but it's the final step. The next step is liberation. Well, that may take a week, it may take a year, it may take many years, it may take several lifetimes. But it's the final step where the switch has been turned on towards liberation. That's the important thing, and that's really our work, okay, is to awaken this energy, taking people to within themselves to liberation. We talk about the 6 foundations, sevenfold peace. I will be talking this a lot in the Shakti circle when we talk about spiritual nutrition. So we have eating a 100% vegan, 80% live food diet, fasting twice a year. Now we're talking about how to do this over the internet, so we're kind of independent of whatever games are being played in the outer world. We're talking about yoga asana. You see me sitting here in meditation in full lotus. Okay, you don't have to do that, but the point is it opens the flow. Pranayama, breathing exercises. Shanti and I do that every day together. Okay, well, 6 days a week. We don't do it on Shabbat. Third, service and charity. We're all involved in that. That's really good. Fourth, working with a spiritual teacher who can help support the unfolding of his spiritual life. Fifth, meditation, repeating the name of God. And sixth, as much Haniha, Smeka or Shaktipat as possible. Those are the 6 foundations. The more you do it, the more you feed the energy, the more you support the awakening energy. So it's been a delight to share with everybody. Again, you know where to go now. It's at treeoflife.mn.co, and you can tune in on this. We will, but this is a free meditation. We have things that a little bit behind the door there because of the censorship that you can get, but you have to pay a little bit because I have to pay somebody to do this to make that happen. So, for everybody in Israel and in Europe, Laila Tov, sweet dreams. Shalom, shalom, shalom.